Good afternoon. My name is Gallego. I'm the state representative for District 74, which, as the Justice indicated, is a pretty wide swath. It's about 15% of the state by land, 500 miles or so from one side of the district to the other. And in that big swath of territory, there's a lot of people who need legal services. And I will tell you that while we were starting to gain, the truth is that we really need a lot of help. And the reason is that right now, only about 20% of the need for basic legal services is being met. So that means that 80% of the folks who need help, and frankly who deserve it, we are unable to do anything. You've heard some of the types of cases, but there are others. There are families whose homes have been foreclosed upon and who have been forced into shelters or even on the streets. There's individuals who require some type of legal document or medical treatment. There's elderly who are denied life-sustaining prescriptions or food stamps. There's different kinds, and what I want you to know is when we talk about basic legal services, our challenge today is really to try, one of our challenges is to change the vocabulary and change how we think, because nobody likes to be thought of as poor. And even each of us, when we think of the word poor, we have something in mind. But what I want you to keep in mind is that these folks are our friends and our neighbors and our cousins, and they're people that we know across walks of life. They're folks that we see every day who may have some need that, frankly, we should be meeting and we could be meeting. But we're going to need a little help. The economic downturn has lasted a little longer than has been expected, and as a result, that need has escalated somewhat. But we've got a fine team of people up here who are all incredibly talented advocates in their own right. And I expect that with the team that we put together, with folks across the districts, in all 150 on the House side and all 31 on the Senate side, everybody working together to make their voices heard, this is something that is very doable. So I'm very grateful to Justice Hecht and the members of the Supreme Court, the Access to Justice Foundation, and all of the folks who have worked so diligently to put this program together and to make sure that people are aware of the challenges that we face in providing basic civil legal services.
One of the bills that Jim mentioned, the Judicial Access and Improvement Fund, has now been filed as Senate Bill 726. And the sponsor of that is here, Senator Jose Rodriguez. I'm going to pass it. Senator, would you say
Buenas tardes, good afternoon. Thank you, Justice Hecht, and I also want to thank Mr. Sales for visiting me yesterday in the office to bring to my attention, the need to have this bill filed. And of course, as a former legal services lawyer for 10 years, working with Ricardo Perez, who I see here, and with Jim Harrington, as a matter of fact, in my other life down in South Texas, representing farm workers and others, nothing, in my view, is more important in the work that we do here in the Capitol than to ensure that we do, in fact, live up to our philosophical principles that we have in this country, which are that we all, have equal justice under the law. And if equal means anything, it certainly ought to mean that people who don't have the means or the ability to hire their own lawyers, that they have access to the court so they can get equal justice under the law. As I walked in, as I guess you were describing the kinds of cases that people face, and I handled my share of those over the years as a staff attorney, as a manager for several of the TRLA offices, and then as the statewide director of the Farm Worker Legal Services Program. And I can assure you that the individuals that are impacted by our ability to provide service to them are as important and as needy and as significant, in my view, for the justice system that we have in this country so that these kinds of bills that would seek to raise revenue and to provide services are as equally important as any of the others that are pending here. Now, we all know that there are some problems with our budget. That's an understatement. But I am going to do everything I can to make the case that whatever cuts you have to make, that we have to make, that this is not an area that we should hold back on. That if we're going to live up to the promise of the Constitution, of our justice system, and what was intended by our founding fathers, we are going to have to, as a society and as a community, invest in our legal justice system, and I, for one, am proud to have been asked to join you all in this effort. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
My name is Jacqueline Pontello. I'm the Executive Director of Aid to Victims of Domestic Abuse. We're based in Houston. The name tells you what my subject matter is in terms of domestic abuse, but what it doesn't tell you is that we're one of what we believe to be only 9 legal aid agencies throughout the United States to be exclusively dedicated to representation of abuse victims. Our primary clients are battered women and abused children, but like economic distress, family violence knows no gender. That's just the dominant model. What we offer by way of services are exactly those things that are life-altering, life-protecting services. We do protective orders. We break the legal bonds through divorce and custody litigation that tie the abuser and their victim together. We intervene in people's lives at a stage when they feel like everything about them is falling around their ears. I tell my staff often that the counselor part of their law degree, that's that license that the Supreme Court gives us that says counselor and attorney at law, that the counselor part is every bit as important as the attorney at law. Last year we represented 1,673 cases in the Harris County Family Courts, and that represents an investment in the lives of nearly 4,000 people trapped in the cycle of family violence. The consequences of not being funded at the level that we're saying we need are very real to me. I have a cutout in my office from a vigil on the Capitol lawn several years ago, 2004, of a woman on Friday that we were unable to serve. Monday morning at 10 o'clock came the call from her family that she'd been strangled to death. I really don't want to speak at funerals. I want to speak at graduation commencements and places where we've invested in folks at a bad time in their life and moved them forward. I do get to see the happy part of this, and you'll get to meet one of them in a moment. Her name is Crystal. Crystal is a former ABDA client who tells you exactly the value of what we as lawyers can do to change a legal situation and the impact that has in every other part of someone's life. When Crystal first came to ABDA, she was separated from her husband of 16 years, the mother of 3 incredibly growing young gentlemen, boys, and had been a part of a relationship that with the increasing economic pressures had gone from being abusive in a verbal and a degradation sense to one where danger was an everyday component in her life. And we're very proud of her. She's emerged from the other side. She is a survivor. And that is our job in legal aid, to do triage, to help the people who are the most at risk, to give them the protections that the law affords them, and to help them return to the lives that they were meant to lead. Let me give you Crystal.
Good afternoon. I just want to say how important this issue is to me. These people saved my life. I've had a shotgun pointed in my face. I've had my life threatened, my family's lives threatened. I had to leave my home with nothing but a bag. I've had my house foreclosed on. I threw him in jail. He had my car repossessed. But my point is, there is hope. There is hope. I was on food stamps, I was on unemployment, and because of ABDA and legal aid, I am no longer on food stamps. I have a job. I actually got to move out of my parents' home after 19 months. They helped me get a divorce. They helped me get my freedom back. The worst part of all is hearing my 7-year-old, who was 5 at the time, when we had to leave our home, he would introduce himself as, "Hi, I'm Chad. My dad tried to kill my mom." He told this to the school, to our family, to my friends. There's no reason for anyone to have to die, and because of ABDA, I have my freedom, and I have my life, and I get a chance to start over. And I get to actually have one. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal, for bravely telling us about that. Well, that's all. Well, we also have Dictate here, who's chair of the Access to Justice Foundation, and Terry Tottenham, president of the State Bar. And we'll be happy to take any questions that you might have. I'll answer the easy ones, and we'll see. Thanks so much for coming. This is a very important issue that we intend to press ahead on very hard. As I say, the Supreme Court is deeply committed to this, and so we appreciate your interest. Thanks very much.